Welcome to the League of Free Worlds Information System.
Hello, and welcome back, future viewers. Well, we're going back to the scenario wherein we somehow managed to pacify that very, very well-armed comms craft and cut off communications.
How many childhoods were lost around the rings of Selene or above the surface of Eurydice? Rookers were becoming hardened to the fluctuations of war as innocent fears were forgotten in the searing heat of battle. We hope the Navy were learning those fears as we were losing ours. We were like an organism, cells working in harmony. We felt that Draco was falling to the League and morale was high. The capture of the Navy comms craft had severed their contact with Empire control. There would never be a better time to strike.
Just kind of a reminder, since it had been a while since we achieved that.
Further incursion into Draco is now sustainable. Key Navy communication links remain incapacitated. Manufacturing and research facilities throughout the system are currently being located for guerrilla raids. Concealed research bases on Shelina are known to be contributing sensitive information hostile to League ambitions. League fleets in the Shelina zone are experiencing sporadic attention from a lone Navy cruiser. Anti-League intelligence is thought to be on board. We have a League frigate in the zone which will pursue the craft as it attempts to leave the system. You are required to support the frigate and disable the enemy cruiser. League APCs will then dock for intelligence.
Why capture instead of destroy? Well, you'll see next mission. Also, try and keep the general feel of that last cutscene in mind, because it's going to be a contrast with another branch of the story. You'll see what I mean.
Okay, pilot. We need you to disable this cruiser so we can send in the troops. Hold it. Incoming fighters detected. Can you clear that?
I love how chill that guy sounds at the start of the mission. That's pretty rare, both in Colony Wars and kind of in video games in general for this sort of game. Like, whenever someone gives you orders for space combat, it's almost never chill like that. Kind of want to see more of that sort of thing. As far as I know, that isn't really a recurring character, which is a shame. I'm a little annoyed that our frigate moves away from us that quickly when we're trying to protect it from fighters. Gives me the same feeling as a player who runs away from you while you're trying to heal them in an online game.
Nice work. Now, disable that cruiser. Use only EMP weapons. We want this one alive.
This cruiser also moves away from you at a pretty good clip at the start. The only thing I find confusing about that one is that it doesn't use that speed to just evade you as long as it wants when you're trying to disable it. Oh well. Maybe there's some limits to their engines that we don't really get told about. Also, that fighter is going to go after our frigate, but we can't just keep going back and forth. I think it's better to just disable this thing right away, because we're kind of better at it than that one fighter is at destroying our frigate. By the way, the whole moving backward and forward thing is a fairly common thing among Colony Wars players. I don't think it works amazingly well, actually, but it's something. It works better on some kinds of ships than others.
The defense grid's down. We're sending in the APCs. Keep 'em
Although now that I
coming.
think about it, it might work better if you put a little bit more distance between you and the enemy ship. I should try that. Anyway, that Lone Thunder child has already managed to take down the shields of our ship, but that's not too surprising. We've already seen how lethal fighters can be to warships. That kinda interests me. A setting where fleet craft are mostly notable for their ability to field fighters, which actually do the heavy lifting damage-wise. That being said, I don't think that's actually what Colony Wars tries to put forward when it comes to ideas. Anyway, now that we've attracted the attention of that fighter, we should be okay. There is a problem, though. This frigate takes its sweet time when it comes to actually launching that APC that it was talking about. I briefly wondered if that's because I needed to destroy that fighter first, but no, another one just jumps in. It just takes some extra time. I was also a little bit concerned that it would never launch because of a bug, but no. Nope. It's just kind of mission design. Anyway, some time ago I found out that there was a team attempting a remake of Colony Wars. However, at their last report they hadn't gotten permission from Sony to put it forward officially, as it were, so I was a little skeptical. Also, that video where I found out about this was some time ago. Definitely more than 6 months. So I figured it would probably be a dead project. But then I found out just before making this video that no, they were still working and they were actually ready, or almost ready, to put out a demo with submissions. So maybe things are looking up, actually. I just hoped. Alright, this seems like the sort of thing where it could be amazing if they do it right, but also kinda easy to do it wrong. Also, that tornado is not taking its time. Well, okay, that ship is not really designed to take its time, so that's fair. Also, I should not have destroyed that previous tornado, but that's okay. Now that I know that our League APC is actually out and on its way, we can just get that tornado on our tail and everything is fine afterwards. Also, the fact that it takes one APC regardless of its target kind of makes me wonder if some of the effects that it has to properly take over, why did I say properly? Just to take over, has something to do with the way it breaches and enters its target. But as far as I know, there isn't really much lore on how an APC takes over a ship that might also be full of armed personnel. It's also possible that these frigates are kind of specialized, and the APCs carry a lot more crew and firepower than even the crew of a large ship can handle without their own complement of Marines, or whatever they use in this setting. Because that thing is pretty small. It'd be interesting to me if the APC itself did something once it got in there. But anyway.
We've got the troops on board. Nice work, pilot.
Docking sequence initiated.
I guess that question will have to go unanswered. I'm sure that'll be lots of fun for people who like to come up with theories on how it works, though. Well, and that's the sort of thing that I was talking about before, how the disabling part and the capture part are in one mission.
It is becoming clear that without certain items of intelligence, our threat to Draco is limited. As we now have possession of a Navy cruiser, we are able to attempt the retrieval of this information. It is the Navy's intention to hold a funeral marking the death of a high-level officer. Our captured cruiser will join the funeral convoy before breaking the line and employing a tractor beam to retrieve the body once it is fired into space. The silicon databanks located within the corpse's skull can then be decrypted. The captured cruiser must be defended, as once its identity is known, extreme Navy aggression is likely. Due to the clandestine nature of this operation, shielded broadcast beams only must be employed. You are assigned a captured Navy interceptor for this mission.
I think likely is not a strong enough word for what's going to happen when we capture that thing. I also like this mission design is that it kind of shows off what exactly the League is willing to do. It's also kind of hard to argue that this would be a good idea if they pull it off. It seems kind of suicidal to me. Well, I ran into a bit of a recording issue here, but fortunately it cuts back in just in time for the important stuff to happen.
And they cast his body onto the wastes of space, lest his spirit never come to rest.
And there's the grapple line.
Cover us. We've initiated.
Yeah, they probably noticed that, considering that we stole the star of the funeral right there.
3 minutes.
This is actually a really tough mission. We're surrounded by large ships that are shooting at us, although thankfully they don't aim their capital beams at us too much. More importantly, there's lots of Stormlords here trying to destroy our cruiser, and we've already kind of seen that Stormlords are pretty good at that sort of thing. Also, the mission lied to us. We're not actually in an interceptor. Like, this is not the loadout of a Thunderchild. This is the loadout of one of the League demons. So we don't have the normal shield or anti-shield lasers. We don't have a whole lot of anti-fighter missiles. We have the plasma gun and the scatter gun, which is not amazing. It could be better. The one saving grace is that we do have the grapple gun. Whoa, that's really rude. Why are they being so rude to us? That's not okay.
Shields destroyed.
Anyway, we have to change our direction a lot while also dealing with these bomber craft, which is not easy. And if our cruiser gets destroyed, well, you can probably guess that things aren't going to go too well for us afterwards. Now, I consider just trying to get the Stormlords on our tail instead of theirs for a little while. The problem is there's more than one, and I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. Plus, at this point, the Stormlords launch from fairly far away, so it's not too bad to just get rid of them. I mean, they are fairly slow. But as you can see from my remaining health, this is pretty tricky to deal with. Another possibility, if you really want to keep craft from respawning, is to use the EMP gun to permanently disable one. Also, it said you are targeting friendly craft. That is not because I accidentally hit the friendly cruiser with my guns. That's something else which I will discuss later. And there goes our cruiser.
Jump gate open. We're out of here. Coming?
Oh sure, why not?
Sequence initiated.
So, that would probably be easier to survive if we were actually in an interceptor like the mission told us we would be, but that's okay. I wonder if they just accidentally gave us the wrong layout. Anyway, that seems like the sort of mission that you tell your friends stories about for a long time afterwards.
Incoming reports detail major successes against Imperial manufacturing bases. The Navy presence has subsequently decreased, as emergency repair units are fully engaged on sabotaged industrial units. Tactical support projections suggest that League victory within Draco is now possible. However, Navy command units are being encountered, suggesting further resistance. Scanning reveals a Navy command craft in the region of a new League starport. It is surmised that high-ranking military personnel are on board. Removal of this craft could seriously damage the effectiveness of the Navy's chain of command. You are required to intercept and destroy this command craft.
I love how different this chain of missions is from the one where you don't succeed at getting that comms craft. Like, in the last one, we were kind of winning, but it was really messy, and this one, it's just getting really clean. Especially after we pull off that intelligence heist. We didn't even get the chance to do something like that last time. Oh, no, don't, okay, you doomed us all. When you say something like that, especially in a video game, forget it. You know there's gonna be trouble. Anyway, this time we were actually supposed to be in a heavy bomber since our target is a capital ship, so that's pretty nice. Also, these fighters are after us, which makes them pretty easy to deal with. Sometimes when enemy fighters go after your capital ships, it feels like them going into berserk mode or something. They just move a lot faster overall. I'd love to find out more of the details of enemy fighter behavior in those circumstances.
They've got my access code. Oh, they started my little destruct sequence. I can't override it. Gotta destroy the signals. Gotta get that command craft.
Codes accepted. Auto-destruct sequence activated.
I see that person just won a reward for quality voice acting right there.
Have a nice day, League Flyboy.
Alright, I think that should actually get a reward. That was hilarious. Anyway, we have a time limit to deal with this command craft. Okay. But the thing is, we've got plasma cannons and a nice anti-shield torpedo here, so I'm actually not that worried about it. Besides which, dealing with capital beams is already kind of a time limit for dealing with command ships. Plus, you can't really dodge too well at plasma cannon distance anyway. Although, it probably helps if I don't miss my plasma volleys. That would be bad.
Shields destroyed.
Wonder if the people involved had seen Spaceballs. It could be unrelated, like the have a nice day thing. It doesn't necessarily take a genius to come up with that one. Still, it's fairly uncharacteristic for Colony Wars, so that I think strengthens the idea that it's a reference. Well, that went pretty well. And with that branch done, we can finally head over to the Alpha Centauri branch. As you can see from the title, after dealing with Draco, we're closing in on Sol, and it's tough to get more final than that, so let's go tie up all the other stuff before we move on. I think it'll be pretty interesting, so I hope to see you then. But before we go, I hope no one clicked away after what I just said there. Before we go, there is one other little thing that I want to show off. A bit of lore that is not always... I wouldn't say it's not easy to get, but it's not common to get. So, remember how I said there was a bug that involved the game thinking that you're attacking an ally? Well, when you're grappled to an enemy fighter that's shooting at one of your capital ships, the game can sometimes think that you're the one who's doing it.
All League craft have been ordered to regard this craft as a trader vessel. Successful escape pod separation.
Now listen carefully here.
The League of Free Worlds information system details the punishment administered to captured traitors. Most were dispatched to the deadly mines of Morpheus, where fatality rates were at record levels. Proclamations of innocence were deemed inadmissible, as their actions in combat had been widely witnessed. Activity recording devices held sufficient damning information to constitute proof. Despite the subsequent crushing of the League, the traitors were never fated by the victorious Navy. They continue to be treated as prisoners. It seems likely this will continue until all are dead.
They didn't have to do that. They could have just ended the mission after you were deemed a traitor and your ship explodes, but they went the extra mile, as they sometimes do with the lore, and I appreciate that.
The Navy was stretched
So,
apart.
when that happens, even if it's not a critical mission, you don't go to the next one. You have to load or restart, which kind of makes sense to me. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I will see you next time.